In this video, I'll show you how to use stacking to spark emotions and make her so attracted she forgets she's late for work, her friends are waiting for her, or she has a boyfriend. You can view this video as stacking advanced. I'm Saint Robert and I've been coaching Daygame for around 3 years and traveling around the world daygaming and coaching for the last 1.5 years. I've worked with guys from all over the place: USA, Canada, Australia, Hong Kong, Israel, all over Europe, Switzerland, UK, you name it. If instead of long talks about inner game, naturals, theory, explanations and meditation, you prefer a very no bullshit and structured approach to teaching Daygame, then subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is part 5, the last part of the structured natural video series. If you're going out and approaching girls but they leave soon after you open, or you run out of things to say, then in this video series I'm teaching you the exact things I teach my in-field coaching students to get girls hooked and stay longer in the sets. Make sure you watch this video till the end, because in the end I will explain a concept I call double stacking. It's a new way to stack that gets much better responses from girls. First, let's talk about what is not stacking, what is bad stacking. A compliment is not a stack, it's just a compliment, even if you say exactly what you liked about the girl. Stacks like "you look Italian" or "you look like a lawyer" are boring and they don't work. "You look like a lazy cat" or "you look like Trinity from Matrix" are not stacks. I mean, what is she supposed to respond to those? And the most likely response you're gonna get is gonna be "thank you." There are 2 very simple rules that define a good stack, but before we get into them, let's talk about why we actually stack. Imagine a random dude walks up to you on the street and starts asking you questions. That would be weird. Why would you answer questions from a random dude that wants to chat to you? It's the same with girls. Asking questions is a weird when you don't know the person. It's kind of needy. So we stack to get topics to talk about without asking questions. Stacking is just throwing out assumptions as a girl. Instead of asking "what do you do for a living," you say "oh, you look like a serious lawyer," or instead of asking "where are you from," you say "you look Italian," and that's it. It's really simple. But the secret is, a good stack not only gets you a topic to talk about, rule number 1, but also sparks her emotions, rule number 2. So let's look at bad examples of stacking and why they don't work. First, let's look at a compliment as an example. You said to a girl, "I love the way you look, I had to say hi, you had a very feminine vibe about you." Well, does that help us get a topic to talk about? Not really. Does it spark emotions? Maybe a little bit. So the easiest answer she can give you is "thanks," and thanks ends a conversation. Stacks like "you look Italian" or "you look like a lawyer," do they get you a topic to talk about? Rule number 1, yes they do. But are they sparking emotions? Rule number 2, no they're not, and that's why you should never use stacks like that when starting a conversation with a girl. "You look like a lazy cat" or "you look like Trinity from Matrix." Well, rule number 1, is it easy for the girl to answer in a way that gives you a topic to talk about? No, it's pretty hard. Rule number 2, does it spark emotion? Yes, it does. But since it doesn't give you a topic to talk about, you shouldn't use stacks like that. And now let's look at some good stacking examples. A good stack assumes something about the girl. Where is she from? What does she do for a living? What is she up to now? What are her hobbies? While at the same time sparking emotions. "You look like a lazy cat who just woke up a little bit hangover and is on her way to grab her morning coffee." This stack definitely sparks emotions because you teased her about being hangover, and it assumes several things about her. It assumes she just woke up, she partied yesterday, she's hangover, and she's going for a coffee. It is very easy for her to respond in a way that gives you a topic to talk about. She says she is actually hangover, boom, tease her about partying, tell a story about partying. She says she's on her way to a coffee shop, storytell about coffee shops. Very easy. That's a great stack for weekend Daygame. And the next one. "You look like Trinity from Matrix, you must be on a mission to kill someone right now." This stack sparks emotions because it's so teasing, while it also assumes several things about her. So it assumes her looking all in black, very serious, and it assumes what she's doing right now. So she might start to explain why she looks like that, why she's dressed like that, or also she might tell you where she's going to right now or what she's doing. So this is a great stack for any girl that's wearing black or looks very serious. When I work with my Daygame infield coaching students, I usually teach them 2 stacks. I like to keep it simple and not complicate their lives with improvisation and 7 different stacks. So these are the 2 stacks I teach my students. You look so relaxed. I thought she's either coming from a yoga session or she just smoked some weed. My students usually prefer this stack. And the other one is, you look so artistic. I can already imagine you playing a guitar in a rock band or making some really weird art in your free time. With both of these stacks, it's very easy for a girl to respond in a way that gives you a topic to talk about, rule 1, and they both spark emotions, rule 2. And now let's talk about double stacking. It's something I started doing automatically a few years ago, and it works so much better than simple stacks. If you say a thing like, you look exotic, you must be Spanish, you will oftentimes get a response like, yes, no, thanks. Their short response is hard to work with. Whereas if you say, oh, you look so exotic, you must be Spanish or Italian, 2 things happen. First of all, you're twice as likely to get where she's actually from. And the second is, I've noticed girls are way more likely to tell where they're actually from if you give them 2 options. So when you stack, always give 2 options. You look so exotic, you must be Spanish or Italian. This is what I call double stacking. You use the good stack, she gave you a topic to talk about, you told a story, but she still didn't hook. What else can you stack about? First stack should always be playful, just as the stacks we spoke about. And you know you shouldn't ask a question before she has hooked. And the safest sign that she has hooked is she asks a question first. So you have to keep stacking, you cannot ask questions. And in my opinion, you can do up to 3 stacks. And if she isn't interested after 3 stacks, just leave the set. There are 2 more topics I like to stack about after the first stack, and you'll see those topics are very boring, very serious, but that's fine, and let me explain you why. Geography. You don't look like you're from around here, you have this Italian or Spanish vibe. And work. By the way, you look very serious, like a crazy lawyer or an accountant. Yes. Boring topics, but after you made fun of her being high or being a crazy artist, it's completely fine to actually talk about normal things. If you stacked about what she's up to right now, being high, on a mission to kill someone, and then you stacked about her work and geography, that's actually all you need. The other topics, you'll cover them later in a set, stuff like her hobbies or her wild side, that is how she balances her serious side, but for the stacking, that is all you need. So guys, in this video series, I showed you how to perfect your stop, pre-opener, opener, and stacking, so you wouldn't have to think about those things at all, and you could simply just enjoy a nice conversation with the girl. But now let's talk about how to put all of this knowledge to good use in real life situations. I want you to come up with a copy-paste line you will use with every girl, so you don't have to think about what to say and you can focus on your body language, your smile, your eye contact, and other non-verbals. Come up with a word-by-word line. Use the same pre-opener every time, use the same opener and the same stack every time. For example, hey, sorry, I know this is really random, but I just saw you from over there and I had to say you looked really cute. What I noticed about you, you looked so relaxed, and I thought she must be either coming from a yoga session or she must be high. Try to repeat the line out loud until you get it perfect. If you can't repeat it in front of a mirror, it will be very hard to do when you open a hot girl, and you will most likely simply not even notice all the nonverbal mistakes you're making. The number one thing that helps my students learn Daygame faster is starting each set with a copy-paste line and following structure. Yes, the goal of Daygame is to be able to improvise and just be yourself and a cool, interesting dude, but that's not the way you learn it. That's something you work on when you're already getting laid. So keep using the same line until you get at least 8 Daygame lays. So what I want you to do now is write down the exact line you're going to use and post it in the comments section. And if you want to get some feedback on your new lines, you can join our Telegram Daygame Church group chat where we have around 200 guys from all over the world. You can join the group chat by going to my website, link below the video, joining the mailing list, and in the welcome email you will receive an invitation link to join the chat. I know I've given you a lot of information in this video series, so if you want to make sure you don't get lost and remember the most important parts, then I've put together a free PDF cheat sheet with the most important parts from this video series. The 3 most common mistakes when stopping a girl, everything about pre-openers, openers, about this stacking video. If you want to download that free PDF cheat sheet, just use the link below this video. If you like this video series, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel to not miss other no bullshit, no mental masturbation videos about day game and dating. And one of the next things I will be putting out on my YouTube channel is a whole video series with a stylist I use and many of my students use about how to improve your style depending on the age group you're part of.